congrats on all the outpouring of support about your book, Rex.
It's wild. It really is wild. And I'm going to try it. I was on your buddy Dan Patrick's show earlier,
Yep.
and you guys are my friend. And I got a little too comfortable on Dan's show, and ended up cussing a couple of times. So I'll try to not do that today.
We have a button here, Rex. Jason Feller is now on notice. It's very rare to get a guest on notice to say, get ready. And get ready to hit the button. So he's got it ready. So let's start with the why. Why did you write it, Rex?
I don't know that I would have. Seth Davis called me it's been about 4 years ago now, and just out of nowhere, asked me if I would keep. He had seen me on something talking about opioids, and I think talking about George Floyd's murder.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. He called me and said, "You ready to change the world?" I didn't really know what he meant, but I said, "Sure. What do you mean?" And he ran it by me, and we started talking about it. And it was right as the pandemic started, so we were talking a lot on the phone during the days, and kind of hammered out a proposal and sent it out, and Simon and Schuster loved it and wanted to do it. But then the hard part starts, and you have to really dig in. And the hardest part, I did it for my kids. And hopefully that they can see a different me. I was a drug addict for when I got arrested in 2014. Our oldest was 20, and our youngest was probably 11 or 12. And, that's college age and middle school age. I'm all over the papers, all over the news for being arrested, a drug addict. I remember sitting in rehab and thinking, look, if I'm going to live, then I need to really try to figure out what's wrong with me and why I do the things that I do, and really try. So I did. I buckled down and started really digging into my life and the decisions and choices I've made, and therapy, I think, probably saved my life.
Well, and I think just starting here is that starting off point, Rex. I think you're kind of hitting right on the head what I'm sure you must hear from so many others who have family members who have gone through what you're describing, or people who are the ones going through what you're describing, is that the addiction is something you need to face, and the choices that you may make for something that does feel like you have no control over it, right? And realizing that there is some control you can exert, and that choices need to be made, and there is some sort of sense of responsibility you have to take, as opposed to saying, all of these circumstances in my life have caused me to do this sort of thing. And finding that moment without having to hit rock bottom might be the whole, key to helping others. What do you say to those who are searching for that, Rex?
Man, I swear, and I hate to do this again, but I mentioned it in the book. A good friend of mine, Rick Pitino, came to see me. Pride is a hell of a thing. And Rick came to see me in rehab, and I was a bawling mess. He and his assistant, Vinny Tatum, both lifelong friends of mine. And I was crying, toxic, telling them I'm toxic. They could probably barely understand me. Rick finally said, listen, look at me. And he said, you're going to eat a lot of crap for a while. He said, at first, it's going to be a big beach ball sized ball of crap. And he said, if you do the next right thing, slowly but surely, that beach ball will turn into a basketball. And do the next right thing, it'll turn into a volleyball, and then a softball, tennis ball, golf ball, ping pong ball, marble, pebble. And that won't be the first thing people think about you anymore, but it's going to take some time, and you're going to eat some stuff. And this has come from a guy who's been through some stuff. So for whatever reason, I latched onto that. And when you're at rock bottom, and my friends said, many of my close friends said, Rex, man, we didn't want to see you arrested. We didn't want this to happen to you, but something had to happen because you were going to die. You were going to die. And they're right. You can't just eat 40, 50 pills a day with no water for years and think that you're going to be okay, or take, a medicine that's supposed to wean you off of opioids for 10 years and think that's going to be okay. Just a lot of crazy thinking, and, really feeling bad about myself as a person, and digging into that, and, realize slowly but surely started, to see that what Rick was saying was true. And, here I am. The other thing about the book, I've gotten such an outpouring from people, on Twitter, text messages, phone calls, from so many people. And it makes me feel really good. This is just on a bigger scale. I've been speaking and doing this stuff. I have.
Yes.
I talk about it freely and openly. And if anybody, family member, friend has a problem, anybody, you can put them in touch with me to call. This book has been on a bigger scale, and I get stories from people all day long that I read and I try to respond to. About my brother had an issue, my uncle, my dad died from alcoholism. I've always had mental illness, the anxiety, and people struggle, man. Life is hard, and I hope that this is hitting a chord. Really, I just wanted to do it for my children and for anyone else, struggling with addiction. And if people get something out of it, great, because it's been kind of hell living it.
Well, I mean, in terms of that, Rex Chapman here, It's Hard for Me to Live with Me is a book everyone should get, available wherever you get your books right now. Writing a book, the toughest thing anyone will ever tell you about writing a book, even though you had help of such a terrific writer in Seth Davis, is selling it and getting out there. No, seriously, that's the tough part is when the book comes out and selling it.
I have no idea what any of this is. Thank you, Rich. Go ahead, finish that.
No, but in selling it, you gotta have this conversation. It seems over and over and over again, and it comes across from me, and I know differently though. Is you're so free talking about it, but I'll see sometimes you tweeting out like that was tough. That was tough that you had to go through that conversation. So, do you have to steel yourself up for even conversations like this?
Yes,
Rex?
definitely. Yes, definitely. And it's gotten better, markedly better over the past week since I had to do it. Seth was a rock star, is a rock star, and he did all the heavy lifting. I'm barely literate. So the best thing he did was right at the beginning. He said, listen, man, we're going to talk about some hard stuff. No shame ever. I'm not judging you for anything. He said that. He probably said it 50 times while we were doing it, because I had to tell him the worst parts about my life. Some of it we didn't use. But I will say this. When I was in college and unrelated to basketball, I had a panic attack, and it's detailed in the book. I didn't know. I'd never heard the term panic attack and didn't know that's what it was, and probably until 2 years ago. I felt like I needed to go to the hospital. I ended up getting over it in a couple of days, and I forgot about it, completely forgot about it until we were writing this book. And about 6 months ago, when we were wrapping up the book, Rich, I had another one. And fortunately, my girlfriend was there, and Whitney Lawson, and she took great care of me for a couple of days, and I snapped out of it. But I don't know how to explain it, except I remember as a kid hearing people say, well, she had a nervous breakdown, That's what I felt like. I feel like nothing matters. I feel hot. I can't really move my arms, and breathing is tight. My chest is tight. It's happened only twice in my whole life. And it's due to, some of the stuff that I felt like I had to include in the book for it to be authentic and honest.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.